Yields back. We now go to the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Nicel, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Chairman McHenry and Ranking Member Waters for their work on these issues. Yeah, it's great to see you, Director Chopra. My colleague from Tennessee said that the reference the article where you're the most hated regulator on Wall Street. I was just on Wall Street yesterday. I think definitely you are not the most hated. I can feel pretty confident about that. Don't know if that's much of a consolation prize, but I want to
Not a
thank you.
popularity contest,
Yes.
but yeah.
And 25 of these, I know it's been, when you get down to the final row here of Democrats, it's been a while. So thank you for your testimony and being here. I want to thank you for the work you and your colleagues at the Bureau do daily to protect consumers. Democrat or Republican, all of our constituents rely on the CFPB to protect them from financial harm. In fact, over 82% of Americans want the Bureau to continue doing its job. I think that's a good record of success. And earlier, I heard from some of my Republican colleagues, was glad to hear they're voicing words of encouragement and support for open banking. I want to talk a little bit about open banking. I'm glad the CFPB proposed the personal financial data rights rule last month to accelerate the shift towards open banking. Open banking would give consumers the right to control their financial data, which is long overdue. As an example, if one of my constituents has a checking account at a bank but is receiving bad service, high fees, under the current system, they'd have to jump through a significant amount of hoops to, quote unquote, break up with that bank and move their data to another financial services company, whether it's a bank or fintech. They'd likely lose some of their data along the way, and spend countless hours trying to piece it all together as they make that shift. But open banking will change this, make life easier for consumers, drive down costs, and promote financial inclusion. Can you share your thoughts on how open banking is transforming the financial landscape for consumers in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think the more we can give people the ability not to just solely be judged by a 3-digit score, but also their financial history, being able to give that data to be able to get a better term, to avoid illegal conduct, to really have more of a driver's seat. I think this is really a way to make banking a way that puts consumers have a wider range of options for them. And I think smaller entities are really going to be able to compete more easily with the big players this way. Rather than being locked in with one provider, local institutions or startups will have more of a chance to win on the merits.
Yeah, and under this proposed rule, the CFPB would rely on a separate standard-setting organization to establish the technical standards and certifications for consumer permission sharing. Given that this organization would be a separate entity from the CFPB and not subject to its oversight, how would you ensure that all parties have a seat at the table and that this arrangement doesn't result in anti-competitive behavior while also meeting its standard-setting obligations in a timely manner?
It's a huge concern to make sure that they're not a small set of actors who get to dictate, in an anti-competitive way. So we would have oversight under our proposed rule. The CFPB would have to recognize the standard-setting body, and pursuant to longstanding guidance, that body would need to be inclusive of all perspectives. It can't just be the incumbents, or it can't just be the fintechs. It really has to have everybody. So we're collecting comment on that now, but that is going to be a big piece to determine how open banking accelerates.
Thanks so much. And just in the remaining time, I want to just touch on credit repair scams. I've been working on legislation in a bipartisan way to finally stop credit repair scams. And I know we've talked about this at my office. Appreciate your work and your leadership here. These companies market themselves to financially distressed consumers, falsely promising to increase credit scores while charging exorbitant fees and monthly subscription services that can cost thousands of dollars but yield few positive results. While the Bureau took enforcement action against one of the largest credit repair organizations earlier this year, are you concerned that these scams will continue by new organizations, especially as household debt increases?
Yeah, I'm also worried about how they might be targeted using very sensitive information about people, particularly on social media, but not exclusively. So we're trying to look at how people can actually navigate ways to address their debt issues without ending up worse off in the process.
Thanks so much, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. We now go to the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Stile, for 5 minutes.